People like me? What's that supposed to mean? Tara sat up straight. No, honestly, I want to know, what are people like me? Pregnant people? Lonely people? People who are missing someone they couldn't live without, like they'd suddenly had a limb hacked off? People too stupid to have dragged themselves back into an empty and soon-to-be derelict house, thinking it was where they could live? People who sat eating dry crackers, stupidly hoping it was enough to keep a baby alive in her belly? Devin opened her mouth, but no words came out. Isaac kept his eyes trained on the floor. Well, anyway, whatever you meant, I'm sure that's nice and all, that you want to reach out and help people like me, Tara said, her tone even curter than before. But as you can see, the baby and I have been getting by on our own just fine. I don't need any help. She looked away and toward the door as if to say, there's the way out. Then she said, we'll go on managing the way we were doing. Thanks. We'll get by. Don't worry about us. Then her hand flew straight to her belly, and her face softened. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then tears fell. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Devin approached Tara, staring down at the plain crackers she'd been eating earlier. She rested her hands gently on each of Tara's shoulders and squeezed. Hey, she said, we'll work something out. You'll see. Tara looked up, her eyes puffy and red. They looked sore. Really? Her face seemed to say, I don't deserve it. Tara, when was the last time you had some real food? Tara averted her gaze from Devin's inquisitive stare. Honestly, I don't know. But not so long ago, I'm sure. This is just a temporary thing. I'll do the best I can to take care of us, Tara said. I know you will, Tara. You're a strong woman. But it's hard enough feeding one person these days, and you have to eat enough for two. It's not a lot, but we have some food in the van we'd like you to have. Please, Devin insisted, and then we can work on getting some more. Or we can stay away. Just consider the food a gift. We can disappear. I guess it wouldn't be smart as a mother to turn down good food. It's best for the baby, after all, Tara conceded. Tara started to rise from the sofa, but began stumbling even before she could take a proper step forward. Devin grabbed her by the arm to stop her from falling, lowering her back onto the comfort of the sofa. By then, Isaac was at their side, his brows furrowed in concern. Are you okay? Devin asked. I'm fine, Tara responded, not at all sounding fine, not at all looking it either. Her breath was short and she was clearly winded. Her face was too pallid, and beads of sweat broke out on her forehead. I've just been feeling a bit dizzy today. I'm sure I'll feel better after some food and a bit of sleep. It's nothing serious, just normal for pregnancy, answered Tara. Isaac looked at Devin, as if trying to convey his concern about the situation. The message was received loud and clear. Devin had been thinking the same thing. Tara, she said in a soft voice, much lower than her usual tone. Isaac is a doctor of sorts. Why don't you let him give you a checkup while I go back to the van and get you something to eat? Or you could wait until I return with the food, if that would make you feel more at ease. Tara didn't look comfortable with that. She opened her mouth and looked as if she were about to protest. Devin wouldn't blame her. After all, she'd just called Isaac a doctor of sorts, without giving any clarification. Why would Tara let a strange male get his hands on her at all? But to Devin's surprise, Tara's too, judging from her wide eyes, that wasn't the response that came from her lips. Okay. Devin nodded and walked out through the front door, bending under the tape, heading into the dimly lit evening. You two make a pretty strange couple, Tara said unexpectedly. Isaac snorted and looked at Devin before answering. We worked for the same company before things went bad during the blackout. Even as Isaac decided to give Tara the story about how they'd met, his mind wandered to the past, to what had really happened when he'd first laid eyes on Devin. Isaac had been on his knees with tears in his eyes, looking up at his assailant. He'd been sure that this would be his last night alive, and somehow it still seemed surreal to him. She was such a diligent worker, and I took a liking to her. We've stuck together ever since. Back then, Isaac had waited for the gun in Devin's hands to go off, anticipated it, but it never came. It wasn't until he heard her put the safety back on that he knew the shot would never come, or at least not that night. That's so sweet, Tara said with a small smile. I guess, Isaac concluded with a half smile. Please, let me take a look at you when Devin comes back. I'll be gentle, I promise. This seemed to reassure her, and she nodded her consent. You can do it now, she conceded. He immediately got down on one knee beside her, taking her hand gently to get a feel for her pulse. "What sort of doctor are you?" Devin never said. "Well, actually," Isaac said, not diverting his attention from his inspection, "I'm a genetics scientist. I'm only really a doctor in the academic sense, but I have enough knowledge to fairly assess you." Tara momentarily pulled back from his touch before letting him continue. Isaac shivered. With no power, the room was unheated and rather chilly. "Have you been feeling well lately? Did anything out of the ordinary happen to you recently?" "Well, when I woke up this morning, I felt tired and heavy, which I guess is normal for me, being pregnant and all. But it was much worse than usual. And I was bleeding a bit." Isaac's chest tightened, and he swallowed hard. "Well, what was I supposed to do?" Tara said defensively. "I didn't have any money. The nearest hospital that's still functional is in another state, and I got kicked out of the house shortly after that." The exertion of her annoyance was enough to wind her again, and she stopped to catch her breath, her hand on her belly once more. Isaac made no response, his mind working as quickly as it could. His worst fear was already coming true. Devin hurried to the van and rifled through their supplies to find something Tara could eat. For all their promises of help, it wasn't like they had a 5-star chef hidden in the trunk. Most of it was junk food, but fortunately, there was some real food that Isaac had bought shortly before their stop. It was pasta with shredded chicken, and there was even a nice cold salad to go with it. She also dipped into the cooler to get some bottled water. Putting everything together in a large reusable bag they'd picked up from the store, Devin hurried back to meet up with Tara and Isaac again. Apart from not wanting to keep a hungry mother waiting, Devin couldn't imagine Tara being completely comfortable being alone with Isaac. He was harmless and kind-hearted, but Tara didn't know that yet. Devin continued making her way down the street back toward the house, taking in the eerie and subdued surroundings. People were home, she knew, but too scared or broken to venture out unless they had to. Most people had lost their jobs, in addition to their loved ones. Society had all but collapsed, and what was left stood on the weak foundation of the government's efforts, and it was the same all around the world. In less fortunate places, the governments had already failed, giving rise to lawless bands of desperate people, each committing atrocious crimes in the name of survival. The news coverage of it all had stopped now, as nothing functioned anymore, and only few people had the resources to travel. There was no discussion of intervention, foreign aid, or even empathy from politicians. Although the majority of world leaders had remained unaffected by the blackout, there wasn't a single fully functioning government left, even in the West, and what was left of them had dedicated itself to keeping up the facade of normalcy as long as they could, as if it were all a bad dream that would go away with enough waiting. If only we were so fortunate. Devin shook the thoughts out of her head, having more than enough bad news to deal with ahead of her. However, as she approached the house's front door, she found herself with something else to worry about. The evening had grown dreary, the setting sun barely visible. It was that melancholy time of day that made you want to write a poem. Suddenly, the color and darkness seemed to vanish, replaced by a faint blue glow that spread around Devin. The street's ambient sound stopped abruptly. The birds, the wind rolling through, and the occasional snatch of conversation, all of it ceased, all at once. It felt as if time itself had stopped. But Devin didn't have the luxury of looking around to notice all the fine details of what was happening, because something had her attention, or rather, someone. In front of her, standing just outside the doorframe, was a little girl. She looked to be no older than 8, and wore a long white dress and no shoes. She had dark hair in a ponytail, and her skin was olive. Her eyes seemed to be staring past Devin into the sky behind her. Devin had been looking around the street the entire time she'd been walking up and down. Out of habit, she'd noted that there was no exterior movement at all, not even a cat or dog, and she'd certainly been looking at the doorway as she neared it and had seen nothing. It was as if this child appeared out of nowhere. "Hello there." The girl made no response. Moving in a bit closer, Devin tried again. "Hi, sweetie. Where did you come from?" Suddenly, the piercing eyes focused on Devin. Devin could see the weight behind their gaze, and it unsettled her greatly. "Are you going to help the lady with the baby?" Her voice was normal, unlike her eyes, but the manner in which she spoke was unsettling all the same. "Yes, dear. My friend and I are going to try our best to help her." Devin had many questions, but before she could ask any, the little girl stepped closer to her and continued speaking. "Her baby is
special, you know?
Yes, Devin said. All babies are special.
Yes, but not like this one.
Devin's head tilted to the side. Her curiosity piqued even further.
She blames God for all the bad things that are happening to her. She's mad at him, deep in her heart.
The child was closer now, so close that Devin could reach out and touch her. But she didn't. Something was off, and Devin didn't move.
All that hate is killing her, and it's killing the baby. You've got to stop her hating everything.
Devin's eyes widened in shock at what she was hearing. This is no ordinary child. What are you? The child ignored her question and continued to speak.
Soon she will have to make a decision. A dire choice between life and death hangs over both mother and child. A decision to accept God's love and His grace. If she wants to save her baby, she must choose.
Just him? What about herself?
It is too late. God will save the child if she so chooses. For He is the last unborn, untainted soul on earth.
This was all too much for Devin. She placed her hands over her face, with her eyes closed, trying to steady her thoughts. Then something occurred to her. Wait a minute. But she was too late. When she opened her eyes, the dull evening light overlaid by the reddish-orange tinge of sundown had returned. The birds chirped, the wind blew, and soft chattering from the people huddled together in their homes could be heard, and the strange little girl was gone.